Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. This is going to be more add-ons and tools. That's right guys, for those of you who know me and have seen many of my videos, I'm all about mods and add-ons. I love it. I love seeing what the community comes up with. Anything to make it easier and more fun. So, oops, sorry about the bump on the mic there. Today I've got quite a few for you. Now the first one is going to be involving the Elgato Stream Deck, and I'm going to show you guys what that is for a minute. But even if you don't have one, I suggest that you watch this because it may be something that you might be interested in purchasing, you know, assuming funds allow or when funds allow. So first off, what is the Stream Deck? This is a Stream Deck. It literally looks just like this. Okay. Now typically it's used very commonly for content creators such as myself. Now, I actually had mine buried in the closet until I found this. I just didn't have enough use for it. Plus, I didn't have the patience to sit down and figure out how it works. Let's call it what it is. But anyway, what someone has done in our community is turned it into a very handy tool. This will be absolutely fantastic for those of you who maybe lack buttons, lack desk space, right? This thing is very small. Literally, it fits in the palm, from about the edge of my palm to maybe about the middle of my fingers. It's not particularly big, okay? Go with that where you will, guys. Anyway, but it offers a lot of functionality, and this is going to be really cool. So first off, you purchase the Stream Deck, you download the software, and here's what the software looks like. So give you guys an idea, this is what I'm talking about how it's primarily used for content creation. Has all of this stuff is built into it, right? It just comes default. So you have OBS features that come with it, Stream Deck features that are specific to it, Streamlabs OBS, some system operations, Twitter, YouTube, voice commands. This is new. I've never seen that before, actually. Couple of different things. Twitch, it integrates with Twitch. But once we download this guy, okay, and what I did is went here to the GitHub, and so it brings us to, not there, but we're going to look at that, brings us here, okay, and I grabbed the latest version. Then once we download it, we'll see this guy right here, okay. You just double click it, let it install the plugin automatically, and then launch the Stream Deck software, okay. Then what we're going to do is, now this is my first time really using it. I used it for about 6 seconds and went, oh my gosh, I got to do a video on this one. I got to add this to the list. And so it even has a user guide, which takes us to here. Nope, here. Here? Yes, here. And it walks you through some different installation processes. It walks you through some configuration. Really awesome stuff here. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean. I mean, you guys can see autopilot functions right there. Plus and minus functions for reducing altitude, heading, vertical speed, comm activity, the radios. Even if you have a head tracker, messing with the radios without buttons and knobs is a pain in the rear because you move your head just the slightest way and next you know you're zooming instead of changing your frequency. Well, we're about to see how much some of that can get solved. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the cockpit of our Cessna 172 here. Now this is, as you can see, this is not the G1000. This is the old-fashioned steam gauge, which we like. It has some, you know, updated systems, but nothing crazy. All right, so now let's see how this thing is put together. All right, so this is what the Stream Deck looks like. Okay, remember, if you take a look at the screenshot here, okay, this is what is actually sitting on my desk, and again, about the size of my hand. Okay, nothing too crazy. But this is what the actual layout looks like. So whatever you guys see here is what I'm actually going to see on the unit itself. Okay, so we come down here to the bottom and you can see the flight tracker. So first, let's start out with what are we going to want as our primary. And this is where I'm going to show you guys there's a ton of options here that you guys will see that are going to change some things here. So you can customize the crap out of this. So if we wanted to, for example, set our comms, right? So let's drag a comm up here, all right? We're always going to want our comms up top. So comm 1. Now dependencies I have, you know, if you see here, doesn't look like anything's happening. So I'm going to turn must be on. Yep, and there it comes to life. And if you look right away, these are the actual frequencies that are being displayed. And I'm seeing the same thing on the unit on my desk. All right. So let's go ahead and grab another one. Set this to COM 2. Set the same thing up here. And I'm just as excited to try this out. I haven't really messed with it much. I sort of put a couple of buttons down initially and saw the potential here and immediately went into recording mode. Reset myself and started recording. So we're going to drop this guy in, put it as nav 2. And then finally one more for the transponder I think I saw. Yep. Now we're going to leave that in there. Alright, so now let's see how this all works. So let's say I want to change the COM 1 frequency, right? So let's see here. I'm going to find a frequency list here for a second, so give me a minute. And again, forgive me guys, I am battling a damn cold again. Okay, so got some frequencies pulled up on Navigraph here. So let's see how this all works. So if I want to transfer codes, all I have to do is tap that button. So I'm going to tap it on my desk here. And if you guys watch COM 1 right here, works perfectly. Now, if I want to edit it, I have to press and hold the button. And I see the same thing right here. So I'm going to do, let's see what's the new frequency. 128350 is what it's got. Okay. And I'm going to press enter. And, oh, you know what? I don't think it liked the triple digits. Let me try that again. So I'm going to do COM 1. And let's do 12835. I'm going to press enter. And there you go. You guys can see it there. And again, give it a tap. And that is, that's actually Portland Addons. So we're obviously not going to get anything on that. But COM 2 functionality, everything's the same. Same thing with our nav button. So if we're on nav 1, and I changed that to, I don't know, let's hope I pick something intelligent here. 1115, I think, is Los Angeles ILS for 25 right. So let's press enter. Nope, it didn't like that. Oh, yes it did. So let's give it a tap. And sure as heck, there it goes, it changed. All right. And then now, finally, let's try the transponder. So I'm going to press and hold. And let's do, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. And enter. Boom. Now, here's where this gets really cool. Let's talk about the autopilot for a second. Everybody's bane, right? There's nothing, even with a head tracker. Actually, I almost think it's worse when you have a head tracker on, like Track IR. Because if you move your head ever so slightly, instead of changing the parameters that you're trying to change, you're zooming the camera in and out, right? So, real pain in the rear. So let's say we wanted an autopilot. Well, here's how we're going to do autopilot, because autopilot has obviously a lot of functionality. You can create a folder with this guy, and let's just call it AP for autopilot, right? Oops, I didn't mean to hit enter. Let's back that up. There we go. And we can double click it. All right, now let's configure this folder, right? And you obviously want to leave this. This takes us back to the top. So if I can tap that button, boom, tap the autopilot folder, brings me back in. So now we're going to go to the preset buttons, right? We're going to drop one of these guys in here. And actually, let's sort of configure this the way we would want it here. So I'm going to drop a couple in here. And I'm going to put all my autopilot functions up here with their increase and decrease parameters here. All right, hopefully you guys can see where I'm going with this already. I don't even know if I need this many. Come to think about it, I'm sort of just dropping things in here real quick. That in there, drop that in there, and drop that in there. I think that's too many. So let's see here. What I would want here, let's say we want our autopilot master, right? And maybe here we would want the, let's use the approach button, right? That's a big one. Then let's say up here, what would it be first? It would probably be airspeed, I think, is what comes first. So I guess we can set it for flight control, but that wouldn't really be what we need. But let's click on the speed function here, and you can see airspeed. Let's click on this one here, airspeed. And then next is going to be our heading, right? On most autopilot FCPs. So we're going to click the plus, hit heading, click the decrease, heading. Up here, that would be what, altitude? Let's come here and hit, what am I looking for? Altitude. Decrease on the altitude. And then finally would be vertical speed. And let's do the same thing. Vertical speed and vertical speed. Now it has vertical speed and airspeed. I wonder what's up with that toggle. We'll have to check it. You know, I wonder if that's what that should be. Oh, no, it doesn't have that option. Okay. All right. So now I can come out here, right? Have all these functionalities. And I still have all these buttons that we can mess around with. We can go to autopilot. And let's see. Let's turn the autopilot off. So it looks like it should be on over here. It is indeed. Oh, let me bring that back up so you guys can see it. And if I tap the autopilot button, boom, shuts the autopilot down. How cool is that? Now, let's try messing with the heading. Now, my understanding is, so I'm going to take the heading here for a second, and I'm going to move it around, because I already messed around with this earlier a little bit. So if we bring this up, to make the heading match, although it looks like it already did, when you first set it, you want to press and hold it. Oh, that centers it, though. There we go. Okay. Oh, it sets the heading of the aircraft. That's what it just did. Cool. So press and hold it, sets the current heading of the aircraft. At least it says it does, but that still doesn't seem quite right. But whatever, we'll roll with it. So if we want to set our heading, I'm going to use these buttons now. So I'm going to hit plus. Hold it, it goes by tens. Tap it, it goes by singles. And if we want to engage it, we can just tap the heading button and it turns autopilot on and activates our heading. Now let's mess around with the altitude for a second. So if we want to set our altitude, boom, altitude's now set. Change our altitude, tap it, hundreds, hold it, thousands, vertical speed. I don't think I need to say much more, right, guys? I mean, this is freaking awesome. So, and think about all the things that you guys reach for a button for, right? That you, I wish I had an extra button for this, or I wish I could lay this out differently. This thing offers a ton of options here. So we can come out of this, go back to our comms menu. I'm kind of curious. Let's see what these do. I have no idea what this does. This is a horizon button. What does the horizon button do? As far as I can tell, nothing. I wonder if it's just a gauge. No, I'm not sure I would want that. That's pretty small. Like I said, these buttons are only about about maybe a ½ inch squared off. So they're not much. I don't know if I would want that. Same thing with the gauge here. Generic buttons, I guess you can use, but you have to find the coding. And the user manual is pretty awesome. It does break everything down for you. So you can see here, and this is where we found out everything here. So again, the press and hold, tap versus hold parameters. Comms, generic gauge. This button is very similar to a generic toggle button, except it doesn't have a similar, I would say. Okay, anyway. Let's see what some of the known issues are. At the moment, custom images are stored. Okay, we don't worry about custom images. If you spam the same button too quickly, SimConnect will get an error. Okay, so good to know. Don't spam it too quickly. Gives you a bunch of different parameters. Generic toggle buttons. Okay, so if you wanted to do a generic, this is the most powerful button in the plugin. It can trigger SimConnect event or show SimConnect variables both at the same time. However, with great power comes great responsibility. You have to do a bit of setting up in the parameters. So I'll play around with this. Anyway, guys, I'll move on to the next one here, but I wanted you guys to check this out because I thought this was an absolute must-have for just about everyone. And if you own the Stream Deck already, it's absolutely worth it. For those of you who don't, let's see what the prices of it these days. I have no idea what they cost. $149.99. This is it right here. This is all you need. Okay, so $150, guys. Up to you, obviously. But you think about how much we spend on all the other flight gear we have. I mean, this could really save a lot. Okay, so it all depends on what your budget is, what your needs are. But I wanted to make sure I share this with you guys today. So with that being said, let's move on to our next mod/add-on for the day. All right, for our next add-on, this is one that's been talked about on plenty of people's channels, but I figured I'd share it on ours as well. This is a import from FSX. This is the 747-400 by Canadian Mods. Now, the reason why we're showing this, because I know we have, some people who are modding a couple of different aircraft, and one of them being the 747. is this one is complete. Okay, my understanding is that all the features and everything work on it as it designed. Now the graphics may not be what we're expecting, but let's go ahead and check it out. So first thing that you're going to do is simply give it a quick download, and then what you're going to want to do, let's back it up here just a second here. So here's the downloaded folder that's extracted. Okay, we extract it, excuse me, and then you'll have this folder inside of it, and it's got the sim objects and everything that we need. And we just drag this over and put it into our community folder in the packages. All right, now when we get into the sim, you can see here we have the 747-800, which comes default, and then here's the 400. So let's go ahead and select the 400. And I don't know if any of the liveries worked. Well, it looks like it comes with some liveries. And again, be kind when it comes to the image. Remember what we're talking about here. So let's just pick one here. I'm just going to throw one in there. And let's see what we get. So now we're going to come back to the world map. Let's set our parking. Let's see here. I don't know if this thing will fit at a Phoenix gate or not, but we're going to throw it there. And set as departure. Give it a fly and see what we get. All right, so here's what we got, and honestly, it was a lot better than what I was anticipating. This actually looks very nice, so I'm wondering if it's using the default model as well. But it looks absolutely fantastic so far. I have no real qualms with, I mean, look at that wing reflection. Everything looks great. Absolutely fine. So let's go ahead and jump in the seat and see what we get. Now, I'm not going to do a full startup or anything like that, but we'll take a quick spin, sort of check some things out here. See how much of the default model it's using and how much functionality we get. So let's flip the batteries on for a second. Looks like external powers is available. Let's see here. Let's flip that down here. Take a look at how everything looks here. So I'm guessing a lot of the functionality is going to be similar to what we see. So yeah, a lot is missing. Looks like it's going to be one of those things that we're just going to have to sort of catch it as we go and see what's working, what's not. But I have heard that the flight model is better than what we get with the default. So maybe we'll do a flight on this. But anyway, so I wanted to show that to you guys and let you guys see that it's much better than what some of us were probably anticipating hearing that it was coming from FSX. Like I said, I am thoroughly impressed in comparison to what was being expected. So at the very least, the external views will look cool. So without further ado, let's move on to the next one. All right, for our next mod, the next thing we're going to look at is improved physics for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Improved physics does the following: smooth surface control, rudder-less attack, so which is a big one for me. I've actually complained about this before. Softened suspension, much more natural behavior, and always up to date. All right, so now let's see what we get when we try to install this bad boy. So when we unzip the pack, we will get the improved physical or physics for MSFS. Open that up as well, and this is the folder that's actually needs to be copied. Now with the A380NX, I imagine we're going to have to copy this out. So let's go ahead and rename it. All I'm going to do is take out the optional. Okay, and let's go ahead and just drop it in, and it should automatically copy in. All right, let me double check that. Looks like nothing's new. Okay, we're good. Let's go back. All right, and then with the remainder, we're just going to take this folder here and drop it on in. All right, and now let's see how everything feels in the sim. All right, so here we are in the TBM 930. We're going to go ahead and give some of these features a try. Now, I don't know how much of this is going to be noticeable right away. So I'm going to do my best to try to showcase as much as I can. My biggest interests are the flight controls. So one thing that I would say is very prominent in Flight Simulator 2020 by default is the controls seem very, how would I describe it, on rails, right? And especially the rudder pedal. The rudder pedals are one of my biggest complaints in FS 2020, and it just, I have yet to find any good curve that I'm really satisfied with. So I'm kind of interested to see what that does. Now, he talked about suspension updates, so I'm sort of curious to see if we feel any bounce, feel being obviously subjective given the fact it's on a monitor, but you guys will get the one, the impression of, I guess. And then I'll do a takeoff, and then I'll set myself back up for an approach, start the video, the recording again, and see if we notice anything different on the landing. You know, the landing, I will say, feels very thunk, you know, concrete-ish. But, you know, with that being said, it's asphalt. So I'm kind of curious what to, I'm not sure what to expect there. So let's get in the seat and see what we get. All right, so I'm not using my head tracker today, so, you know, don't judge me on the poor flying, etc. Let's get the parking brake disabled here. Whoa, oops, that was my fault. All right, so right away, let's just go ahead and just check the taxi on this. Whoa, let's come off the throttle. I literally, like, almost pushed it all the way forward. Don't want to stall it. Just seeing if there's any difference in, you know, the braking and what we would expect there. The acceleration does seem a little less resistant, I guess, the word I'm looking for. So obviously it's not a performance change to the aircraft itself in, you know, engine performance or anything, but now you can sort of see it bouncing a little bit if you look at it. The rudder pedals do seem better. And to the point where I might have to reset my curve back to where it was. So give me a second, because I did make some adjustments. So let's check something out here. At least I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. I thought I did. Assuming that I can remember how we did that. No, that's not it. Huh. Well, so maybe I'm just going too fast. This thing definitely does get up and go, so. Alright, now we're going to roll for a little bit. I'm not going to go full power, just sort of seeing what the response is like. It's very... definitely what I would expect to feel. I mean, I'm getting the response that what I put in is what I'm getting. Again, forgive the horrible flying. I'm not paying attention to much of that right now. Controlling down the center line seems quite a bit easier. The elevators. Yeah, I know, it's fine. Smooth. Nice and smooth, not so jolty. Now, it's clearly a bouncy day here, so I don't know how much of that plays into the mod. Again, not paying attention to the flying, even if the aircraft dies. It's not what I'm interested in. The response of the controls, I'd say, is very one-to-one right now. Light input, I'm getting light input, light to light. Hard to hard. But reasonable, you know, I'm not flying an F-16. Alright, so let me set up for a landing and see if we don't notice anything different on the touch. Alright, so we're coming down the approach. It's making the turn now. It's not going to be one of the greatest. Again, I'm really interested in how the terrain feels, quote unquote, if you will. I know that's a weird word to use for a 2D environment, but that's what I got for you. It actually wasn't a terrible lineup. We're really high, but other than that, I'll take it. I will say the flight controls feel different. There's definitely a difference. I feel like I have more fine tuning on them. Wow. Now again, there's definitely some turbulence. I don't know how much of that is playing into this. Little low, little low. Come on, baby. Come out of the sky. Alright, let's see. What in the crap? Okay, so I don't know what is legit and what's placebo. I will say there's definitely a difference. There's definitely something to be noticed. I will say it's worth a shot. I'm also going to tell you guys to, do a few rounds before you actually install the mod. And I think I'm going to remove it and then try again. But I definitely did notice some differences. I just don't know how much of it was placebo and how much of it is legit. Take a Cessna out, take one of the aircraft out, take the TBM here out, do a full taxi, practice your rudder pedals, or, test out your rudder pedals, kick them back and forth, do a couple touch and goes, feel, quote unquote, the impact, and see if it's, get an idea of where you're at. Then maybe wait, a couple minutes, long enough to install the mod anyway, and then go and try to do the same thing again. And let me know what you guys think of this one in the comments below. I'm kind of curious. All right, so we got a couple more, I think. I'll have to double check here, but I'll be right back. We'll move on to the next one. All right, and before we get into our last showcase, I did want to share with you guys a little bit of news. You guys can see it right there, Fly-by-Wire, the same group that's doing the A32NX mod, the A320 modification, is promising that they are working on, from the ground up, a freeware A380. They are also looking for a little bit of support, guys, so make sure you check out the link in the description below. If you are someone who is proficient with the A380, whether that be through working on it, maintenance, a pilot, whatever it may be, if you are a subject matter expert, they are absolutely looking for assistance and looking for information to make sure they get this one as accurate as possible. So really, really excited about this, guys. This is a huge one. I don't think anybody's done an A380 yet that's, really worth discussing. And these guys at Fly-by-Wire have done such an amazing job with the A320. I can only imagine what we see with an A380. Excuse me. So anyway, just wanted to share this with you guys. I know many of you probably have already heard it, but wanted to go ahead and share this out and make sure you guys are aware. Good stuff coming. So stay tuned for more on this one as it develops. I'll definitely be following this one very closely. And let's get on to our final mod of the day. Alright, so next on our list today is the FSPM VFR Map. This is a moving map that gives you a few other options that you can enable, such as teleporting at specific airspeeds and altitudes. So we're going to give this one a shot and see how it looks. My understanding is this runs directly from the simulator and even has the pop-out window options as much of the other features in FS. So let's give it a shot. So obviously we're going to download it. Once you download it, we're going to be presented with a zip file here. Oh, that one right there. Then we extract it into this. We're looking for this guy here. Obviously the contents are inside, so we'll back up one, grab it over, drop it into our community folder, and start the simulator. Alright, so let's go ahead and give this thing a shot here. So let's get the engine started here. Alright, and let's get out of here. So what we're looking for is this guy right here. So this is the FSPM VFR map. So let's zoom in and let's see how accurate it gets. Now I know it takes a second to sort of render it. This will center the tracking on the aircraft. That looks like it displays our VFR or VOR markers. Start looking to see what we get here. Now, one of the things that's supposed to be really interesting about this is it has the functionality to teleport very easily. So you can actually pick a location. So let's try something here real quick. Let's see here. What do we got here? So that's going to be P Mechanic Sheriff's Heliport. Huh, no kidding. Oops. So left click to sort of move around. There's Davis Monthan. And so let's just do a click here. And let's set some altitude here. So we're supposed to be able to... Oh, can I delete it? Yeah, there we go. Let's put it at 5,200 feet. And let's do, I don't know, 70... Sure, 70 knots. And heading 290, sure. And what do we get? Whoa! So we're up there. Alright, so let me move this off a second here. You know what else I noticed, guys? I'm curious if any of you have seen it. So, you see the terrain gets sort of squashed there. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I've noticed anytime I do a teleport, or lately it's been a hot start. Okay, if I start with the sim with the engine running, whether it be on the runway, whatever, my terrain is really flat and washed out. Like, you can still see it, there's some issues there. And then every time I use the teleport function, it does it too. But, anyway, let me know in the comments below if you guys are experiencing that. But so this looks pretty cool. So let's see how far out the zoom goes. Looks like you just got to give it a second. It gives you the aerodome information. That's what that circle is. So let's see here. What is this? This should be Scottsdale. And so let's give it a good jump and see how well this goes. If we give it a light little tap. Yeah, sure. Let's just jump out to Scottsdale. And let's get us... Yeah, sure. Let's go. Alright. So now what did we get? If I just close that. So yeah, anytime I teleport, the terrain just goes to crap. And I'm sure it's just loading, but it... Uh-oh. Okay. But it never seems to get much better than this, even though it's loading. We'll see. The buildings all out there look great, but everything out here is just really washed out and flat. But anyway, that's beside the point. So that is the functionality. It's not, like I said, this isn't like some huge thing that takes a lot of time to go over. It's just a neat VFR map. Gives you your altitude, V-speed. Are we really descending? It looks like we're descending. Why? Okay, finally out of that nonsense. Anyway, as I was saying, guys, this isn't a huge mod. Not a whole lot to it. Just a nice little VFR map. Gives you your airspeed, gives you your vertical speed, altitude, heading, wind direction, it looks like. Again, you can center focus on the aircraft or move it around if you choose, and all you have to do is drag off, and it uncenters the aircraft pane. So pretty handy. The nice thing about this, you can drag it out, move it off just like the VFR map, but it just looks like a little bit more functionality. Let's see if we can compare these two here. Let's see, is that going to cause a problem with it? Let's try this one here. So here's the default. So we go GPS tracking. Yeah, I'd say I like the new one significantly better. So anyway, guys, just wanted to show that to you. I hope you guys enjoyed this little showcase, if you will. We got more mods coming. I just got to test them out and see what I think of them. We're going to check out the A321. We're going to check out the Pack X mod. Now that is a pay-for software, so you know that one obviously you guys will have to do some thinking on. But for all these, let me know what you guys thought today, and Obviously, leave that like and subscribe for me. It truly does help me out a lot. If you're interested in supporting the channel, check out that Patreon link down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care, folks.